I think some of my issues that I had with me preferring first season versus this season is that there wasn't anybody to really push back at Reacher, and we get that in this episode, and it's the better for it. Hello, everyone. Terrence here with Hollywood Already Did It. If you haven't already, go ahead, like, share, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment below, ring that bell. Anytime we have something, you will be among the first to know. You can probably hear the head cold. It ain't going away. I am working on it, still trying to get there, but Reacher still goes on, and I said I was going to do this video, and here I am. Episode 5 of Reacher Season 2 called Burial. This is the first episode where there are some things that I really like. Everything that happens with Russo and Reacher, I really dig. There's some things where I'm like, I call BS. We'll talk about those when they pop up as we go along. Last episode, I talked about how I thought either Dixon or OD was not on the up and up. And I still believe that, but how I did caveat, I said, I don't think it's OD because he's a family man. He was too quick to rattle off Blue's Clues and Bluey and all that good stuff. Top of this episode shows that I was kind of right in that OD is very much the family man. He goes home to sort of collect his belongings and sort of tell his family that, hey, things are going to get dicey here for a little bit, and just take care of yourself. And his wife is very much even keel. She's lay it on me straight. Am I in danger? And like, nope. The level of danger for you guys is about at a 4. For me and Reacher, it's going to get real. So just go away. If you don't hear from me, you know what to do. So Dixon and Neely arrive in Denver, and they pretend to be defense contract management agency workers or people who come in to do an inspection, which is a red flag for me. I'm like, is it really that easy to just pretend that you are a part of a government agency without like checks and balances or scheduling an appointment to do so? But here we are. But they get the note that they've just missed the shipment of the 650 pieces of government tech. They've just been shipped out. Someone has come to pick them up, and they're on their route. And so they beeline it down the highway to go sort of catch up with that truck. One thing, is it really only one person like picking up government weapons like that? Just one person. There's no other security. It just seems odd that it's just one driver just driving around like eating some Cheez-Its and chilling along with 650 weapons of mass destruction in his truck. Sure. So Dixon and Neely follow the shipment, and they run into a gunfight with some hijackers. And it's a pretty cool scene. The car has trap doors and hidden traps that allow them to sort of pretend like the car is empty after getting shot to holy hell, and then getting the up and up on the hijackers. They then see that the shipment truck has a busted tire, got shot, so they can't literally just take the truck out and move the shipment. So they call the police to come get the shipment and then sort of scrub the rental vehicle so that they don't have any sort of remnants of themselves being left behind, uh, so that they can be traced. They then call Reacher. Reacher is working on stuff where he and OD go to Homeland Security, and they get a little background info on AM. Meeting with some G-men in Homeland Security who knew Joe, who was Reacher's brother. They are a little too easy to just give up information to a guy who was not that close with Joe. Joe and Jack wouldn't really talk to each other. Joe probably mentioned Jack a lot because he favored his brother, but it just seems really easy for Jack Reacher to just walk into a government agency and just be like, hey, tell me about this guy. And they just hand over private information. That seems odd, and a little too simple. And it then is doubly odd in that they're like, "Cool, your turn to give us stuff." I'm like, "Nah, we'll keep you on the. We'll call you. We'll keep you on the hook. You'll know." And they're just fine with that. They're perfectly okay with that. Then they mentioned like, oh, "Perfect. Well, just make sure that we bring AM to prosecution, and we'll handle this to the process. We'll take this to the fullest level of prosecution." And Jack Reacher's response is like, "Cool, that's if we don't kill him first." And they just let him walk out the door. Okay, sure. So Dixon and Liddy call Reacher to let him know about the shipment and that cops are being called and they're going to handle that, and that there was a name on the manifesto who signed off on the shipment being sent, and it was Tony Swan. which Reacher just doesn't want to believe or want to hear. And like, nope, nothing about Swan is dirty, even though everything keeps leaning towards that. Again, I feel like someone's forcing me to do this, something's happening, but they're leading us all to believe that it's Tony Swan. And there's nothing happening that is sort of saying that it shouldn't be. So Reacher, we have a flashback to sort of show why Reacher is so adamant that Swan is not the person to do this. And more so because he kind of owes him. There's a drug bust. Actually, there's a undercover drug buy that they're going to go through when they're the 110. And Swan jumps in the bullet that's going to hit Reacher and gives up his life to try to save him. He ends up being fine, obviously. He lived, but he didn't care in the moment. He did everything he could to save Reacher. And Reacher at that point was like, well, I owe you one. And so Reacher just doesn't think the character of Swan would lead to this versus the man who he knew back in the day who saved his life. It's a small thing, but we get a little bit of an interaction between AM and Langston. It's clear that the two of them are working with animosity. They don't really like each other, but they know that they have to work together. And so it'll be interesting to see how this continues on because it's clear that they're working out of probably money and necessity more so than they're actually working as a friendship or working together with a common bond. Daniel Boyd is back with Senator Malcolm Lavoie, who was the man who signed off on the Little Wing project without really looking into it. He requested a meeting with Reacher. So they meet in this little hidden bunker down in the zoo and have a conversation. And in that, he basically says, hey, look, I know who you are. I know what you've done. I've looked into your history. I've looked into this. I know you don't work for the police. I know their friend was the cop on the last thing that you did in season 1, blah, 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 blah. I know all of that. That's fine. I'm willing to look over all of that. If you can get rid of all of this mess, like take care of whatever it is that you need to take care of, and I will fund it. I will help you. I will back you all the way. But I need this to not blow back on me. So you guys get out there and do what it is you do. And I'm here. Just call me and tell me what you need because I'm going to be here to back you up. Richard doesn't quite accept, but he kind of knows that, okay, cool. In my back pocket, I got the senator who wants me to do this because he doesn't want any blowback on him. While it's not a true alliance, it is a trustworthy one because the senator doesn't want egg on his face. We finally then get a true sort of back and forth with Russo and Reacher. I think what I was missing in this season is any type of foil on the good guy side that would go back and forth with Reacher. Findlay was that in the first season, and I appreciated that character. So somebody to call Reacher out on his like bravado of just wanton destruction. Russo is sort of that now in this season, and this is the first time that he sort of has that moment that I'm like, that's what I was missing. And so he has a back and forth with Reacher. Reacher just basically calls him dirty. He's like, somebody is leaking stuff. It's not anybody on my team. I think it is. He doesn't believe it is. I still think Dixon might be the person to sort of watch. But he's like, somebody on your team, and I think it might be you. To which point, Russo just comes with a bunch of facts. He's like, look, real quick, Langston and the majority of the people that are in the New Age security team are former 3rd Precinct cops that were all dirty and were on under IA investigation. And they got fired, let go, and moved, and then they all went over there. The only person who was not a part of that team was Tony Swan, who basically knows the military side of things. And so he became the associate because he knew something that no one else on that team knew. And I think you should start looking at Tony as opposed to looking at any of the police. Earlier in the show, AM and Langston sort of had a combo where Langston let him know that, like, yep, we're taking another run at Reacher, so don't worry, they'll be off the board soon. So where they do it at is at a funeral. Reacher and his crew with Russo are all there at a funeral, and 2 snipers appear to take a hit out on Reacher. What I do like about this season is that the people that are going after Reacher are not all the same. Like you got a biker gang, you have people who are hired inside the home, sort of as an ambush, and you have snipers. Like they're not all the literal same type of thing. But Dixon and Neely and Reacher work out a little combo to draw out one of the snipers and get a hit on them. They kill one out, and the other one says, "Oh, F that, I'm out," and starts running. And Reacher chases after him with the help of Russo, and they get a hold of him. and sort of interrogate him. And some of it's a little bit of dirty tactics. Russo turns his head. He's like, okay, cool. I'm not going to see this. But they get some information. What they get information is that it leads back to Swan. And Russo's kind of like, and so Swan is the person that he's supposed to meet at a building after it's all said and done to get the payment. Reacher's like, well, cool. Here's what we're going to do, and they're going to put him sort of as a hook on as a bait on a hook to go in and get the money, but and then they'll meet the people, whoever is at this building, to have a discussion, if you will. So the crew, Dixon, Neely, Russo's a little further off away because he doesn't want to get seen as being a cop on site. And OD are all there. And then they send this gentleman in to go get his cash. And once he's inside, the building blows up, which lets me know that Langston was playing sort of a two-way game. Either the snipers do what they're supposed to do and they take him out, or we're leading them down a path where we'll give them the information, they'll get the information, they'll go to this building, and then we'll blow them up. I don't think they really took into account that the other sniper would be a spineless fish and kind of just give up the information and be used as bait. Typically, assassins or snipers or stuff like that are like, nope, I'm going to die on this hill and I'll kill myself. I'll give you the information, but I'm dying. So the trap got sort of used before he got to use on Reacher, but he would have been there, and somebody on his team would have been there had they done things the way that they want. So, a good episode. It tightened the bond with Russo and Reacher more, and I think the big thing that you take away is OD's clean, and so it's either somebody on the police side that's dirty, or it's Dixon. I still don't feel like anything is saying that Swan is a dirty person because too many things are stacking up to say that it's Swan, and I don't feel like that's the case. I can also say that I think a big reason why I prefer season one over season two, although this probably was the first time that it's starting to even out a little bit, is that there's something to a familial bond between Joe and Jack that just is stated without having to always show me flashbacks for it, even though they did it. I didn't need it. It was already sort of built in the DNA. Whereas this season, because all of his people that we're talking to are comrades or friends, you have to show me a piece as to why that they exist. And it sort of slows down the actual main thread. And I never, because there's so many of them, I actually never get a chance to really care about any of them, except for Neely, because we did see at least a piece of her previously. So I think that's a little bit why it's a bit of a delay, but I still enjoy the show and it's really fun. Although this was the first episode where it's like there's a couple of things here that don't make sense. The interaction with the G-Man it just seems too easy for Jack, and then the fact that the shipment they were able to play off government agencies for a defense agency, and then that the shipment was literally just one person driving around 650 pieces of military equipment. Seems a little bit odd. But I'm in. Let's just go. Let's keep going. It keeps ramping it up, ramping it up. I'm curious to see. I'm curious to see the first interaction that happens between AM and Reacher, because they have not had. They've done a good job of keeping them apart, but it's about time that one of them, he either meets AM or he meets Langston. One of the two of them needs to sort of meet before we get to the last few episodes. What did you guys think about this episode of Reacher called Burial? What are your thoughts and comments in the comments below? If you haven't already, you can follow us on Twitter at HollywoodADI. You can hit us up on email at HollywoodAlreadyDidIt@gmail.com. We also have a podcast by the same name. That's on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, any other place podcasts. We're there. Hopefully, this head cold is done within the next couple of days. But like always, I got my ticket. You got yours.